Welcome to I'm Not a Fan Unless I Have a Podcast. I'm John Hanford, and right now I'm screening the wind with my hand, changing it up a little bit. I'm doing this outside at the dog park in Yucca Valley. It's a beautiful morning. Clancy's got to run, so figured we'll just get the intro done here. Also, this episode's coming out a couple days late, but once I saw on Tuesday that King Gizzhead was going to be releasing a new thing, I was like, well, might as well just wait. And so that's what I did, and holy shit. The video for one, or O-N-E, I don't know how they prefer you pronounce it, but I absolutely loved the video. The song, I think, is really interesting. I've only listened to it twice, so it's but I did like the changes of pace, the changes in the different sounds that they explore, which we kind of also saw with If Not Now Then When, come to think of it. Just in how it starts with, like, If Not Now Then When starts with like the hard, microtonal kind of like, all is known, and then it goes into the cool like synthy shit, and I like the variants in O-N-E or one as well. Again, haven't listened that intently yet, but first, my first impression is really good. But this morning, so I was taking if you saw in my on the Instagram story, I was taking Clancy out to use the bathroom, take a dump, and just on my front step is shit. Well, wait, what did I do? Okay, yeah, I just knocked everything down, and then my screen went dark for a second, so reposition. But this is what I got, and this is something that I probably wouldn't be able to do if I was at home with the virtual background, because that's a nightmare to navigate when you're doing show and tell. But here we go. I got some wire cutters to cut the tape on this. These are my I gotta say, it is hilarious how I was able to get the flightless KG shipped from Australia before I've even gotten a notification from Caroline about the squashed brain. So who knows? I also don't know if that's just an overplayed meme at this point, or if there's like actually something just shady going on in their end. But I think it's just people getting over anxious and impatient online. It happens. But in any case, let's see what we got from Flightless. I got, so the packaging was a little damaged. It was a little dented, but I don't think that affected the albums. Because again, I got the KG, and I got the Live at San Francisco 2016. Here we go. Damn, I kind of this box is still usable. Okay. First of all, I absolutely love these record covers. This Nonagon for Live in San Francisco, and let's check that out. Okay. Yeah, this thing's pretty gorgeous. So I didn't realize that it would be a paper sort of material with the Nonagon Infinity elevated with some kind of some kind of texture. It's kind of gritty and nice, and like honestly, it feels like Nonagon Infinity sounds, if that makes sense. But this is just a 2-disc thing. Cool Tool images. Oh hell yeah, we got Stu with the Hagstrom. Good old times. And then what is this? I don't even know what brand of guitar this is. Is this like looks like it begins with a Y, but that's not a Yamaha logo, I don't think. I forget which edition, which pressing I got. I was really baked when I ordered these. Okay, so I got this one. I forget what what this was called, and I actually don't know if the color is really gonna show up in this video, but yeah, it's the red and black one, and yeah, so that's good. Anyway, I didn't realize how logistically unsound show and tell would be, but because like now I just got stuff everywhere, wind's blowing this around, and I'm just some wild guy to anybody else who happens to see this and just in a park with records, just doing an unboxing and a podcast. Like, it's not every day you see a laptop or, you know, let alone a microphone in a dog park, and I'm putting these in the wrong fucking things. I don't think I've ever been this much of a klutz on my podcast before, but whatever, it's fun. I'm seriously just smitten with, you know, both with Clancy just being a new dog dad that still, you know, hasn't worn off at all. In fact, it's only getting stronger. And, you know, I was thinking the other day, like, I better not be the guy, or like when I adopted Clancy, I was thinking, like, I better not become that guy who, you know, creates an Instagram account for the dog. But now I'm thinking, like, I might have to. Just because, like, I'm getting indoctrinated into the whole cult of being a dog owner. Okay, this is sick. Check this out. There we go. Still recording. Good. This is the shit that I was waiting for. I got the Let It Mellow edition, which it says right down there. Yeah, I'm really excited to put this thing on when I get home from the dog park. Oh, you know, so this is pretty interesting. It looks like they're doing the texture thing with both KG and KG's also got like the foil. They got like the shininess to it, so that's an interesting thing. I wonder how environmentally safe, environmentally friendly that is, but whatever. It's cool as hell, and I can't wait to get LW, which, who knows, might get here before the Caroline Squash Brain. But anyway, that's my unboxing. I've never done an unboxing video before, so that was cool. Or, you know, an unboxing for records I've never done. In fact, the only unboxing video I've ever done was a Uniqlo unboxing when I got this hat I'm wearing plus my sweatpants. Ultimate quarantine garb. Anyway, let's get into the intro for this specific episode. My guest today is a dude who's friends with Amanda, Jaden, and Cherry, who we know from, you know, a couple episodes from this podcast. Some of the funnest that we've ever had. You know, this guy hits me up. His name is Bryan. He's just like, yo, I'm friends with you know, with Jaden, Amanda, and Cherry, and they're just like, you should be on the pod. And anyway, so here he is, and so we got into a really fun conversation. He's from Arizona, big time prog nerd. You know, that's the title of this episode for a good reason. We get into a really interesting conversation about prog, and you know, I learned a lot since I don't really know that much about it. You know, beyond like a little bit of Tool, yes, and Polygon Dwanaland, and I guess you could include Jethro Tull a little bit, but yeah, I am not knowledgeable at all about prog. Bryan, on the other hand, totally is, and so it was just fun to like talk about different elements of prog and different elements of what draws him into King Gizzard. Going beyond Polygon Dwanaland. Going beyond Polygon Dwanaland. Damn. Well, that's what my burps sound like sometimes. Actually, that was pretty mild for my burps. You should see me after I've had some seltzer. I don't. Come to think of it, I might have had a few burps on this podcast. So whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna stop bumbling around here. We'll get right into this episode. Guys, please welcome Bryan to the podcast.
I'm a little bit nervous because, you know, I've listened to the podcast before, so I don't want to screw it up. So
dude, don't worry about screwing it up. It's I mean, there's just like a regular, you know, hangout basically.
All right.
But yeah, I appreciate you coming on. You mentioned that that Jaden, Amanda, and Cherry had talked you into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're some of my favorite people. So, by extension, welcome, welcome to the club.
Yeah. I'm in the same Discord as them. So like, they're always doing shenanigans and I've just, talk to them sometimes too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so, what's your background with being a fan of King Giz?
Oh, we're starting?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. What? Why not?
Okay, I see. So I was in I've like my background is that like I'm a big prog nerd. Like I love like all of those late, well not late, like yeah, I guess late 60s 70s bands like Genesis, King Crimson, Frank Zappa, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yes. Or.
Yeah, yes, a little bit of yes, not that much. I have a friend who actually runs like a yes server. Like that's how much he's into them. But like I'm just like not that much into them to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. Most of my friends don't really care for King Gizzard, so it's I know how that goes.
Yeah. But and in general, I was just a big fan of all these bands, and uh, I was in some Discord communities, and they would just talk about like, oh, they talk about like new releases, and I just generally would just not care because it was like, I'm fine listening to whatever old boomer music that I am listening to right now, and Uh, I remember. I don't remember like the first time people brought it up, but I do remember people bringing up King Gizzard and like Nonagon when it came out. And
Yeah.
at the time, I was just like, no, it's new prog. New prog isn't good. And I bet people are like shaking their heads right now, and I am too, because you know, uh, there was a time when I was super stubborn about like newer bands, and I just wouldn't listen to them.
Yeah.
And because I've heard like some of them and I just wasn't like interested at all. But eventually I did get around to that, and I did get around to like listening to Mind Fuzz. I think that was my first experience with them, and
Nice.
and that was basically, I was set, because it immediately grabbed me in because Mind Fuzz, I kind of make comparisons to that album, like some King Crimson albums,
Hmm.
because it has that suite at the beginning that has like the super fast guitar parts, and I think of like 21st century Schizoid Man when I think of the Mind Fuzz medley.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like there's some similarities there I see. So I think part of it was just like wormed into my head just because of how similar they were, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good way to get into something new is if it's got like hints of stuff that you're already into. It's like a good way of easing you in. Um, so you first listened to Mind Fuzz, shortly after Nonagon came out,
No, this was
or
just recently.
oh,
This was
okay,
this was last year actually, like maybe like August, I think. Yeah, August.
okay,
I finally listened to Mind Fuzz, and after that, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna listen to them all now. And I started with like Anglesey because I'm super anal about like listening to like everything almost.
hmm,
So I started with Anglesey. Uh, I wasn't like really impressed at first, but I think as I went further, and I was just and my friends were like, oh, they have a jazz fusion album, and I'm like, oh, nice. I gotta listen to that now. And I just slowly discovered the rest of them, and even though I didn't like most of them at first, like I wasn't a big fan of like Polly or Rat's Nest at first, which is, I'm shaking my head very very hard at that because those are two of my like favorite albums now.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny how it works like that with Giz. Like, I remember it took me probably like 6 months to really get into sketches. Like, I listened to it once through, and I was like, all right, this is just weird, and I wasn't into jazz yet.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like I listened, but I knew that I should probably just trust that it's actually good. And so eventually when the right mood hit, I threw it on and I was like, okay, this is a tremendous album as well. And yeah, I mean it's interesting how like sometimes you'll hear something from Giz and be like, I don't know, and then and you know, a couple months later, or maybe even a week or two later, it's like you've done a 180 on
Yeah.
it. Like, yeah, it was also that way with Fishing for Fishies. You know, but yeah, I mean, I've come around on a lot of those songs as well.
I wasn't a big fan of KG actually. You know,
Yeah, it
like
seems kind of hit or miss for a lot of people.
yeah, I was like the thing is that I was like really a fan of the singles when they came out, except for Automation, which you know is okay. I don't hate it now, but at the time I was just like, ugh. And then when the album came out, like all of my friends were really excited, and
Mhm.
I was pretty excited too. Like I couldn't wait. Like I listened to the Bandcamp uh, version when it came out, and I
Yeah.
remember like Anthology being like the part where I was just like, okay, maybe this album can be very good because you know it starts out with like the sort of like the cowboy surf stuff, and
Yeah.
that really reminded me of like Zappa.
Hmm.
Like I'm not sure if you saw the Reddit post, but some people were like, "Oh, if you like Anthology, you should check out Zappa."
You know, I've been meaning to check out Zappa for years, and I and I just haven't. But yeah, I and Ontology I think is uh if it's not my favorite track off KG, it's you know definitely like second. Um, but yeah, I that might be a good jumping off point for me.
Yeah,
You know, going
because
into Zappa.
it's like in a funky like tuning and like there's a lot of goofy stuff going on, and that's sort of like the whole vibe Zappa has too. So you know,
Yeah.
it's just very it's like the same way Mind Fuzz reminded me of King Crimson in a way,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of these bands like King Crimson, Zappa, like I really wish I was like more on your level for you know understanding them because I haven't I you know I've been meaning to check them out for the longest time. I actually did listen to a King Crimson record that I forget which one it was, but
was it Court?
no, let me see. I've got it in my Spotify library. I'm just gonna pull it up, but I tried to you know I tried to get into it and I just couldn't. It wasn't. I don't know if it was my mood that day,
Oh
but
man, if it's like Larg's Tongues and Aspic, I'm gonna roast you because that's really like my favorite album.
let's see. For the sake of the roast, let's hope it was. Huh? I guess I don't have it saved anymore. Yeah, I'm just flubbing this, but yeah, I think it was one of their earlier records.
It might have been something like Islands or
I think it was Islands actually.
yeah, Islands is like it's like their attempt at like a like sort of a fusiony sound.
Yeah,
Uh,
that
it,
that's
yeah,
that
I
that's
mean
sort of how I summed how I would
it
sum it up.
it's got some deep cuts, so I understand if you're like maybe this wasn't for me. So I mean, even like the title track is like this really long, like almost operatic fusion song. So yeah,
Yeah, I think that was a little much for me in my first go. But at the
yeah,
same time, like Polygon Dwanaland was my first King Gizzard record. That you know that was my first taste of them. Like listening
yeah.
to Crumbling Castle all the way through, and I was like, whoa, this is absolutely wild. It's unlike anything I'd ever heard before. Um, you know, like honestly, when I first heard it, I was thinking like this is an interesting cross between like Tool and Jethro Tull,
Yeah.
like Jethro Tull. But yeah, it was. I don't know. It because like I've talked with other people who tried listening to Polygon Land, and it took them a while to get into it as well.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I wonder if it's like that with you know with other King Crimson records, or like is Islands uh just one that is sort of out there as far as King Crimson goes, or
Yeah, it's kind of an oddball. Like, um, you know, they have like those records where like everyone, like literally everyone, including their grandma, like puts them puts the album on like their chart or something, like their music chart. I don't know if you've seen those, but like people make like music charts a lot on Topsters or whatever,
Mhm.
and like everyone puts those albums on their their charts because they're just classics. Like everyone loves them. Like there's Court, there's Red, and there's Discipline. Like those are the big three that everyone goes back to.
Yeah.
But Islands is sort of like somewhere like tucked away in their discography that people don't really touch that much unless you're like a big King Crimson fan like I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to give him another shot with maybe a different record. What like because like with Mind Fuzz, that's kind of the good intro record for Giz.
Yeah.
What would you say is the Mind Fuzz of King Crimson?
Maybe something like, I mean, you can't go wrong with like Court or Red. Um, I mean, personally, I'd probably say something like Lark's Tongue because I just like love that record to death. Like,
Hmm.
there's so many cool parts about it. Like they do the double drumming thing on there, and it's like
Nice.
it's really really cool how, because one of them is like a percussionist, and like he likes to play a lot of like bells and cymbals and stuff, while the other one, Bill Bruford, I don't know if you've heard of Bill Bruford, but he's like the prog drummer, but he just goes nuts on the kit, and then sometimes there'll be times where they both get on the kit and they just go wild.
That's
so
wild.
so yeah,
Wait,
there's
did King Crimson also? So they also had two drummers?
yeah, Genesis did too. Like a lot of prog, not a lot, but there's been quite a few prog bands that have done that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, sorry, I just had to get my my dog untangled from the Ethernet cable. Uh, but yeah, I mean, like the Grateful Dead had two drummers.
Yeah.
I guess it's interesting to me how many like how I don't know. It's not common to have two drummers, but it's also not as unheard of as um, people might think it is. Because you hear in the live in San Francisco record, that girl in the beginning, two drummers, that's insane.
Me and my friends joke about that girl a lot. Like we'd say that like she ruins the album, and like
Oh, she
how
makes it.
well, I feel like that now. Like it's kind of nice to just have like someone just like commentating over it while it's happening in a way, because um uh
I mean, it makes you feel like you're there.
yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
um
I also like, it's interesting how many of their live records have, feature people, shouting things out and stuff. Like, there's a girl in the Paris show that keeps shouting for Rattlesnake. And it starts to get obnoxious after a while. But, and then in Chunky Shrapnel, there's that girl that rushed the stage and
yeah.
just immediately regretted it once she realized, oh shit, I have to speak to like 10,000 people now that I've now that I pulled this shit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's sort of a fun way, I think, that King Gizzard, like incorporates the fans into their albums.
Yeah,
Even if it is like nails on a chalkboard to a lot of people, like it creates that atmosphere.
they could have easily like mixed her out or something, but it was nice of them to just like keep that in there, whether
Yeah.
because they think it's funny or because it like it just adds to the atmosphere.
Yeah,
um
I think it adds just to like the anything goes, just sort of, King Gizzard hijinks you get at any sort of, live show. It's just that unpredictability.
yeah,
Like did you watch the Chunky Shrapnel documentary or video or?
yeah,
Yeah.
like the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times with like friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And
So like how I think it was at the Alexandria Palace show where the whole crowd just like starts sitting on the ground and they're doing like some weird sitting dance.
yeah.
Like and then I think Joey goes like, that is the weirdest thing that's ever happened at one of our shows.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's just totally, I just love how unpredictable and random the fan base is.
yeah, it's contagious too. Like you can't you there's no way you cannot get excited for this band. I feel like even me, who like I for a while, like I have a record collection. There's a box like right here, if you can
Mhm.
see. But I've been like collecting random like prog records for a while, but when I started getting into King Gizzard, like I was like, okay, I need all of these albums right now, and I almost have all of them. I have like I think it's like 16. Like I ordered Mind Fuzz
Mhm.
just recently off the Gizverse website,
Oh,
and that
word.
I don't think anyone's talked about that on the podcast yet, but
No,
it was
the Gizverse USA website.
yeah, it was kind of screwed up how they did that because they said they had a bunch of copies of Mind Fuzz and Quarters,
Hmm.
like colored ones, and they're gonna put them up on the website at like two, no, at 4 EST,
Huh.
and so they put them up. Well, they didn't put them up. That was the thing. They waited or something to put them up, and then once they finally got up, it might have been like an error or something. But once they finally got up, you could only get quarters. Like there was an error on Mind Fuzz, and you couldn't get it.
Oh, damn.
So I was like F5ing the shit out of my keyboard trying to get Mind Fuzz to work, and eventually it did. And then once I got to my cart, uh, you couldn't get quarters anymore because it was sold out.
Uh,
So I just ended with Mind Fuzz itself, which is
yeah,
fine because I love the album to death.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That sucks. Like because like anytime the King Gizzard announces a time that something's coming out, it's like you can guarantee. It's like almost a guarantee that one of the things you want is going to be sold out. Like,
yeah,
like because when I got on, yeah, when I got on to order KG, when and live in San Francisco, when it, the moment that it dropped, like I wanted to get the denim pressing of KG because
yeah,
I just really like that color blue, and it was gone within 5 minutes.
yeah.
Uh,
That's what I heard.
yeah,
My friend
um,
actually got the white one, so I'm excited to see what it looks like.
nice.
Uh, Apparently, like there's news today that said that like they were running low. Well, not running low. They just didn't have enough copies of the white one or something. So they
Oh,
have to print more, and it's coming in March or something.
oh well, that sucks.
Yeah,
It's weird. A lot of people have received their copies of KG already, and like for the sake of reference, like right now it's January 5th,
yeah,
um, uh, and this is probably going to come out in a couple weeks or so.
yeah,
But yeah, so like I saw a bunch of people already got their copies of their denim copies of KG, but I ordered the yellow one and I have not gotten any sort of like shipping notification or anything. I wonder if they just shipped out by what sold out first. um and
yeah,
yeah, but I don't know. It's weird. I also didn't get a shipping notification on their like when I bought the Live in Asheville T-shirt.
yeah.
So who knows? Maybe they're just a little spotty with sending out those emails. But yeah. Uh, so back to like I guess KG. So you mentioned you liked Ontology. Were there any, and you liked the singles aside from Automation? What did you think of like Intrasport and like Odd Life?
Oh, I love them. Yeah. I'd already heard Intersport because of like the little teaser they did on
Yeah.
Instagram, and I was just like, oh my god, this is really cool because it's just a little like fun thing that Joey decided to do, I guess, and it's just nice of them to like keep pushing boundaries and do what they want. Like, um, like it's really hard to predict what they're gonna do.
Hmm.
Like really, really hard.
It's almost impossible. Like,
Yeah,
because like I tried to predict what was going to be, like the theme of KG, and I was just totally wrong, um, or mostly wrong. Like I just had there was no way you could predict what came out, and like it's funny how they released 4 singles um, from the album, and then a fifth if you count Intrasport. Um, and it was crazy how much of a misdirect it was, because like based on the singles that they released, I wasn't expecting at all to get something like Intersport or even Odd Life, and especially not the Hungry Wolf of Fate. you know
Yeah.
yeah, I and honestly that might just be why I love the record so much, is just how unpredictable it proved to be.
Yeah.
um but yeah, what are your thoughts on just generally their approach to the microtonal stuff? Like, were you a fan of the first one, Flying Microtonal Banana?
I absolutely love the idea because I'm a big fan of like audio experiments, I guess. Like
Hmm.
my favorite band is called Can. I don't know if you heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like a German experimental rock band, and they do a ton of like audio experimental stuff. Like one of their songs from Tago Mago is like literally just like this droning like like they speed up the tape and like speed down the tape a lot, and it's just like this big drone that keeps building on itself.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then I think there's like a solo, like a drum solo at the end. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So I just like when artists like can say just like screw it and just throw out any sort of normal precautions and just do what they want with audio in any interesting way. And so when they did like the microtonal stuff, immediately as a fan of like weird gear, like synthesizers and stuff, I was like, okay, you've sold me. I just need to hear what it sounds like. And it was based and Flying Microtonal Banana was basically like a krautrock record in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it had like I think they even play the Modric in some of the songs. If you know what that is.
I actually don't. What is
The,
that?
the Modric beat is this uh is like this drum pattern that Jackie Litzebite, I think that's his name. Well, it's not how you pronounce it, but that's around how you say it. He's German. That's the
Yeah.
thing. He played it a lot in Can, and it was described as like Modric,
Hmm.
like being almost like a machine, like driven sound
Oh, okay.
by like German music critics. So it's just this pounding like machine almost sound that just drives forward like a car.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to check that out. Like just do some other research on it, because like this sounds like one of those things where you're trying your absolute damnedest to explain it, but it's like a really hard thing to explain.
yeah.
um,
Well, I mean, this is like really dumb nerd stuff. So yeah,
yeah, I mean, I live for that shit, you
yeah,
know. Yeah, I mean, like this is a bit of an aside, but like there's this museum in Phoenix, Arizona, the
yeah.
Musical Instrument Museum, and
I live in Chandler, so
oh, what?
yeah.
Oh shit, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I had no idea.
Hmm.
Have you ever been to that museum?
No, but I want to. Like I've seen a video of it. I forgot who, but I think it was Davey. If you know who that is.
I'm not. No, I don't
He
know.
plays bass and he makes like bass comedy videos. I think he went there and played like a big bass, like a
Oh,
huge bass, like a
nice.
gigantic one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I went there with my dad a couple years ago, and I mean they have like literally every instrument from all over the world,
Yeah.
and just like some some replicas of some ancient ones as well. Like it's a really fascinating place.
Hmm.
Whenever they open up again, maybe they're even open now, because I know Arizona's a little more lax than than California. Um, but yeah, I highly recommend that place. I wonder if they would have if they would have one of those, or I guess. So what is it called again? The mode, it's the mode something, the modester or
Moderic. So
motoric.
it's motor and then ik.
Okay,
Yeah.
motoric. Yeah. So is it an electronic instrument or
No, it's just a drum beat that they
okay?
play a lot and like music.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got it. So it's a technique or a style.
Yeah.
I got you. I take things literally literally sometimes. So I'm just like, what is this instrument? But yeah, okay, that makes sense. Well, in any case, check out the cool ass instruments that they got at the museum.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure you could do motor, a motoric. Is it like so? Yeah, you could do a motoric beat or something with some of the drums they got there. I'm just spitballing now, but
I saw on that video on the Davey one that they had like a kit from Primus, like one of the drummers.
oh shit,
Yeah, like
that
it had like a double kick drum and everything, and it was super cool.
yeah, I
Yeah,
that's really cool. I didn't see anything. When I was there, I didn't see any. I didn't see like the Primus exhibit or anything. They had uh, a bunch of other artists there that like they had their own personal instruments, you know, on display there.
yeah,
Like a lot of these are old like R&B, blues, jazz musicians, in some country as well. And I'm blanking on every single one of their names, but yeah, it was just some wild stuff there. Um, but yeah, so have you ever gotten to see Giz live or?
nope. Uh, well, those guys like Jaden, Cherry, Amanda have been like pushing me to go to Red Rocks a little bit,
Yeah.
and I want to go for sure, but like, hmm.
Uh,
and
I
I have allowance and like I like to spend it on record, so I'm not sure when I'll be able to be like, okay, I'm finally gonna pay for a ticket.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, the way I think of it is like, because the Red Rocks ticket something like $60, I think,
yeah,
plus transportation. Like basically, it'd be like trading the opportunity to buy like 8 records for for one or two shows and just like a whole experience. I don't know.
yeah.
For me, I think it's worth it, but that's also because I've already got the
Seen
tickets.
them.
Yeah, I just realized this a couple days ago. It's been over a year since I purchased my Red Rocks tickets,
Yeah,
and I'm just like, it's so weird to I don't know, rediscover how patient I am. Because yeah, I mean, it's just like the moment I bought the tickets, from that point forward, I was just like, all right, it's just gonna be a waiting game until I find myself in Denver. And here we are in 2021. It still hasn't happened, but
yeah.
anyway, uh, yeah, back to Giz. So like I see you've got your guitar and some drums back there. So do you play music yourself? Do you do like some of your own audio experimentation?
I like to practice a little bit. Like I wouldn't say I'm like proficient in an instrument or
Hmm.
that I'm like really like intermediate at any instrument, but I do like to like play around with them, I guess. Um,
Nice.
and I do like to just because I have pedals too that I use. Like I have a delay, I have a tremolo, and I
Sick.
just like to hook them up and just like make noises because I think that's just fun.
Yeah.
Um, Even though it might drive some people crazy, I just like the sort of manipulation you can achieve with audio. Uh, I also really like synthesizers.
Hmm.
Like I'm a big nerd for like Moog stuff. Like if you showed me a Moog or something, I'd flip my shit because I love those things.
Yeah. Well, I've this is another one of those things where I've heard of a Moog and I don't know what it is. Uh,
Well, I mean, I listen to like prog and stuff, so
yeah.
of course I know what a Moog is, like a mini Moog, and of course I know like what they sound like.
Yeah.
But they have a very beefy sound that I just really appreciate, especially in the music where I listen to, where like there's a huge band playing and you gotta really cut through the mix,
Yeah.
and then these keyboard gods come out and then they just play a wild solo while pitch bending the whole time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what a Moog is. It's just the like the thing that
Well, it's like a brand of synthesizer, like a
okay.
pretty famous one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like that's where you do like all the pitch bendy stuff, um, or yeah. I mean, I am not well versed in synthesizers. I would like to be,
Mhm.
but yeah. I mean, I think I know what the Moog is now that you're describing it. With bending pitch and everything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's Actually, is that what they used on shit? Like on one of those electronic instrumental tracks from Chunky Shrapnel from the record.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I think they used a Mo grandmother for that.
yeah,
Yeah,
because now I know exactly what you're talking about. I want to say it was Quarantine. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, where it's
Hmm.
just like you got that thing just wailing. It almost sounds like a soprano saxophone, but you can tell it's a synth.
Yeah, I like those tracks because they're, well, maybe not like on vinyl, because then you just gotta like sit through it. But like, when you're just listening to like the album or watching the movie, it's just nice to have like a little breather while the synth is playing like a little sequence.
Yeah, I honestly I even like it on the album. It's not one that I would necessarily want to have on vinyl, but I do like the way that um that they included those tracks as sort of like, segues between, blocks of, live performance.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I mean it was definitely something I wasn't expecting when Chunky came out. Um, but it did give a little more insight into, how maybe they'd want to explore a little into the, into that synthesizer electronic space a little further than just Cy Boogie and uh and those tracks.
Hmm.
Um, is that what, when you heard Chunky for the first time, and those tracks specifically, did those did those pique your interest a bit? Like were you a little surprised by those?
Like, where was I surprised by like the performances?
No, of just the just like those little electronic tracks that, like
Oh,
Quarantine and Parking and
I thought they were interesting. They serve a function and they do it well. Uh, and I really how they took like time out of the movie to just like have scenes of like the band doing stuff. Like like there's that scene where Ambi is like sitting on the statue's lap that I thought was really charming.
Yeah, I mean, there was that scene.
and I mean I think that actually might be the scene where they're playing that song with the Moog. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's an ambulance going by or something because my dog started singing. Uh, she always that's the only time she barks is when there's an ambulance or a fire truck going by. She'll just start to like do her own impression of a siren. But yeah, I really did like those just those scenes from Chunky, like you're talking about. Because like I thought it was a really tactful way of humanizing the band without, despite the fact that they're not asking for, any direct commentary from them. Um, it was just sort of it seemed like with that scene of Ambi and the statue specifically, it just seemed like just honestly it kind of seemed like it could be a music video for Odd Life, if just like here you are during the day in some random city, uh and you're just seeking the comfort of a statue. um
Yeah.
that's, I mean, it was just a fascinating kind of dynamic to me.
I know some people who actually like hate those little um those little breaks in the movie, and I think that's kind of stupid because I mean it's I mean you could tell like the band wanted to do that. Like the band wanted to show you that part.
Yeah, for
And I
sure.
think it's kind of stupid to like expect like is your dog
I
okay?
mean, I just have to mute my microphone.
Okay. I think it's kind of stupid for people to be like, oh, with all that extra space, they could have included Rattlesnake or something. And it's like, but it's not about having cramming every song into the album in a way. It's about just showing like the raw experience of being on tour and, doing fun things. And that's why I think the last song was the way it was. Like, I don't necessarily
Yeah.
really like History of a Planet Earth. Like, I think me and my friends joke a lot about how like it's a one chord jam, and that's kind of what it is. But I think it's just very nice. It's especially on film watching it. unfold, and just seeing them like have fun and pass the beer to the sound guy.
Yeah, it was really impressive how they managed to actually make that beer all the way back to him
Yeah.
in like a pretty short amount of time. But yeah, like I definitely had the same feeling about the history of brief history of planet Earth, because like it is just a one chord jam. And sorry, my table's shaking, the dogs are just going nuts here. But
Okay.
yeah, the uh but yeah, I remember thinking like I wish this was something, like I wish they had just done the full head on pill. But at the same time, um they're trying to captivate, they're trying to capture that experience, that atmosphere of being at the show. And like I've been at one of their shows where where they didn't finish up with just one of their own songs. Like it was when they were on tour with Amel and the Sniffers a couple years ago, and they came on like both Amel and King Giz. They went into Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap,
Hmm.
which was just like the coolest thing. But a lot of it was just like kind of just jamming on one chord and just like a very basic progression. But it wasn't so much about the song as much as it was just about the energy of the place. And like I think they played that that medley, just that one chord jam on I think it was probably I want to say it was the last date of the UK tour.
Yeah,
um
that's why I was told. Yeah.
yeah, which makes sense. They want to cap it off with like the two bands that they've been touring with for a couple months. And yeah, I mean, and they're all good friends anyway, so it's like that's why I enjoyed it. I was like, hey, look at these guys, they're just jamming, they're having a good time in front of like 10,000 plus people. Who like how can you not love that?
Yeah. Uh.
But anyway, trying to that was kind of a long tangent that
It's
I
okay.
don't know how to circle back from. Uh but yeah, so like um I guess with well, yeah, something else I want to ask you about with KG, because like they did have there did seem to be some prog elements of like with Ontology, Odd Life, and and I guess also I mean, Straws in the Wind a little bit. Like there was just a
Yeah.
lot of uh just a lot of subtle prog, if you know what I'm saying, because like there
Yeah.
weren't any super long songs, but they all were a little intricate. What did you think about the song structure, in terms of coming from like a prog background?
I appreciated it because I'm a big fan of like long songs. Like one of my favorite records is Third by Soft Machine, which I think
Okay.
actually inspired Quarters a little bit because it's a 2 LP record, and each side is its own song, and like they're long and they're very like jazz fusiony.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah, and I'm a big fan of that sort of like song structure, like just stretching it out and just doing as much as you can in that much amount of time, and like
Hmm.
building upon themes and other nerdy stuff like that. And um, I appreciate songs like Straws because they could just riff a bit and do like these cool little runs on the acoustic guitar. and
Yeah.
and on Ontology, they I really appreciated how they like actually had like a solo for once,
Hmm.
with that comeback that was like doo, 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 doo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, and I kind of picked up on that like after like it reminded me of Hell on
yeah,
on Rat's Nest, of just like being a song that had just that second part.
yeah,
um and then they sort of did it again with Odd Life, with Ambrose's little like thing that some people call rap.
yeah.
And um yeah, I mean, so that was fascinating. um yeah, I could definitely see them, you know, doing it live, dragging out even further.
Yeah.
Um, and that's definitely something I'm looking forward to, is
The
just seeing how they play these live.
second part of Odd Life was also another like really cool moment for me Odd Life was actually like my favorite song off KG for a while until, I started like really getting into Ontology.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked Ontology because of like the yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
I liked
the
Ontology.
big
Oh,
the breakdown
sorry,
at
keep
the
going.
end. The breakdown to end with like Ambrose like fast singing,
Yeah.
which is also kind of another Zappa thing, like fast singing.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had like in one of my favorite Zappa songs, for example, Montana.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really fast singing part that goes. I can't remember actually, but it's just this singer singing really really fast. They're singing I don't care what you silly folk think anyway. I don't care what you silly folk think anyway. But they sing that like really, really fast.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
That yeah, that's impressive. Yeah, I because I know I would stumble over. I know for a fact I will stumble over, trying to sing something too fast or something. I once attempted to do "Lose Yourself" at karaoke, and I was in college. It was like 10 years ago, and yeah, I was just absolutely hammered. And since I was going to school for broadcasting, I thought that because I could read a teleprompter, I could therefore rap off of a teleprompter while I'm drunk. And like, the song starts up, it's just like dun 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 dun. It's Eminem, it's Lose Yourself. And then like the lyrics show up on the screen, and I'm just like, oh fuck, I missed the beat. And I just threw the mic down and ran out of the bar and left my left my sober friend there to pick up the pieces. Totally unrelated. Just an aside that I thought was amusing that you reminded me of. With fast singing, like it is a serious talent that you have to have. With like, I imagine just a lot of focus.
Yeah. I mean, Zappa is like known for like really hitting hard on like getting like the most what's the word? Not incredulous, but the most like uh crazy people, I guess. Just like the people who can do the most like batshit insane things that they can.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like he has a lot of bands where you hear them play and you're like, how do they do that?
Mhm.
Like
I mean, he
and
just took like the most eccentric people he could find that were,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like not only like is there that like that fast singing stuff that he does, but also he has like one of my favorite keyboardists he has, his name is Tommy Mars, and he does this cool thing. He plays like a synth solo on like this really brassy synth, so it kind of sounds like a saxophone or something while he's
Oh,
playing, and it goes do 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 do, and then he starts scat singing on top of it, so it'd be like ba 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 ba, and it's just really funny seeing him do stuff like that. Like just take the most crazy people he can, put them in a group, and then just play the most crazy music he can think of.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
there are just some people's minds that, I mean, just completely blow mine. Like, because like I'm a creative person, and I would love to, have that, level of creativity where I'm able to, you know, put out that kind of stuff.
yeah,
And I mean, it obviously, I can only be who I am, so I can't let, I don't let that eat me up too much. But sometimes I'm just like, how did you come up with this? um I mean, and it was insane, like, how King Gizzard, even last year, just, not being able to tour, and hardly being able to rehearse with each other, like, at least for a little while. They were like, I think they recorded not automation, they recorded KG mostly in isolation, just recording their own parts and then sending them to Stu to mix them. But um, it was just really impressive to me to see how much stuff, and like how varied all of their different releases and different projects were last year. Um, that we're sort of like in that same vein of just like, how did you think to do this? Like
yeah.
releasing all of those bootlegs for people to press on their own, uh the automation video, and just like all the other live shows, and it was just insane. Like, yeah, I don't know. Where do you have any thoughts on that? It's just something that made me think, like, in a business sense, they were kind of going full Zappa.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a miracle that like they this band stands on 2 feet but also kind of like flies, you know, because they make all of these strange decisions that normal people would be like, I don't know about that," but then it pays off. Like,
Yeah,
they started Flightless or whatever, and they also started doing things with their releases that were interesting, and then they started doing the bootlegging thing with like Polly, and then they just did it again with all those live albums.
yeah.
And it's just really cool to see some people push the envelope, especially a band that like most people wouldn't expect stuff like that from. you know
Yeah, I mean, especially just like with how much music they make, it's like, wouldn't you get? Because like personally, whenever I write a song, I'm just like, sweet, I wrote a song today. My work's done. you know, like I just don't think to do like all the additional stuff on top of it, like whatever business stuff, or further mixing, or who knows what. But it's just like they never stop working. It's and it seems like they're not tired of it either, which is just bananas to me.
yeah.
um but yeah. But you mentioned before quarters, and I wanted to circle back to that. You know, like, now that you explained like how similar it was to did you say it was similar to which band was it that had the 2 LP
soft,
album?
soft Machine.
Okay, Soft Machine, yeah.
Yeah.
So and since I'm not familiar with them at all, actually, I'm assuming that album came out before, like, well before Quarters.
Yeah, it was like 70s, I think.
Okay, sweet. Okay, so when Quarters came out, or I mean, I guess since you just got into King is like a year ago, but like when you discovered Quarters, what was? I imagine you're pretty psyched about that. Like, how did that come about?
Well, I was already hooked on the concept because, I was already hooked on all of the concepts, probably. That's probably how I like really sunk into them so far, because
Yeah,
I heard about like one album and I was like, okay, I need to hear that now. Uh, but Quarters was pretty nice because although it wasn't like super fusiony the whole time, like The River and Lonely Still Sheep Fire are pretty fusiony, but
yeah,
the other two songs are like super psyche and like dream poppy almost. Uh,
yeah. I mean, I would consider Lonely Steel Sheep Flyer to be pretty psyche.
yeah,
It's out there. It kind of makes it feel like you're flying a little bit. you know.
yeah,
Um, yeah, but yeah, I totally get what you're saying about the Infinite Rise and God is in the Rhythm being a little more, being a little more in the poppy vein than psychedelic.
I mean,
Um,
I didn't mind it because I was already hooked on like Mind Fuzz, and that had like Hot Water
yeah,
and Her and I, which is more like the Giz sort of psych pop thing. So
yeah,
yeah, I liked it.
nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah. In any case, I understood why you're angry that your quarters got dropped from the order. Um, like, after bringing up like the similarities between that and the uh um and soft sound
Soft Machine.
soft machine.
It's
Fucking
okay.
Christ, I'm losing my goddamn mind. uh but I think we're gonna get to wrapping up pretty soon. But before I let you go, is there anything else that you've been thinking about Giz related that we haven't talked about yet?
I'm just excited to see what they do with LW. Like, I know that Ambrose got like a saxophone, and now they might focus with only one drummer
Mm-hmm.
and like drum machines too. And I'm for that 100% because I love fusion. Uh, if they could do like some R&B-ish type stuff, I'd be cool with that too, because I'm a fan of R&B now.
Yeah.
And I love drum machines like a lot too. Genesis is a band that I really love, and they use drum machines really well, especially on like their Phil Collins albums. Like they program it so that it sort of like melts into the rest of the band a little bit. Like it sounds sort of like it's not just like
It's not just a drum machine. Like
it's not just like rhythm, but it's also kind of like a melody too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'm
So-
excited. I know that they can reach those kinds of highs with their music. I'm just waiting for them to like really just like blow me away like they have again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an addiction, man. Like just like you're just like, oh, new Giz, yes, and because like they're, yeah, I mean, like I was saying with KG, like I had no idea what was coming. Like after I guess after Minimum Brain Side, or like after listening to the A side of the album, which had 3 singles, then listening to the B side, starting with Ontology, I was just like, okay, fuck, here we go. And it's just like that feeling you get from hearing a brand new thing from Giz for the first time is just like a feeling that I'm very thankful that we get to experience at least 16 or 17 times, with all the new albums. But there is just something special to like when you first get to dissect, a new Giz track or a new album.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to LW coming out, and hopefully that's before the spring. I don't want to have to wait as long for that as I did for KG. But anyway, Bryan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and enlightening me and everybody else to prog, and I think other people have plenty of people have told me you got to listen to King Crimson. Not as many people have been recommending Genesis. Obviously Zappa is definitely up there too, but thanks for hitting on those, because this is, I don't know, it might just be the state of mind I'm in right now, but I'm just like, this is a wake-up call. I gotta start listening to some new stuff from the 70s. So I really appreciate your time and all your knowledge that you bring to the podcast.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
All right, man, take it easy, and thank you everybody for listening.